Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to Social Science classes from excelup.com. In this video, you will be learning about manufacturing industries. I will be talking about the definition of manufacturing, importance of manufacturing for economy, then about classification of manufacturing industries, and I'll be talking about some key industries in India like textiles, jute and iron industries. At the end of the lesson, you'll be learning about the pollution caused by industries. So the definition says that production of goods in large quantities after processing the raw materials into more valuable products is called manufacturing. So there are two keywords. One is large quantity and another is value addition. So let us take example of a biscuit factory. So what does a biscuit factory do? It converts wheat flour into biscuits, and it does so in large quantities. So biscuits are produced in large quantities and they are more valuable than wheat flour. So there is a value addition, and that is why we term it as a manufacturing process. There can be many more examples like oil refinery, which converts crude oil into many useful products like petrol, diesel, petroleum jelly and many other hydrocarbon products. Okay. Importance of manufacturing. So manufacturing is very important because it helps the economy and the society. So let us see how does it do. So manufacturing helps in modernizing the agriculture by making available various latest farm inputs which can speed up the process during farming. Manufacturing also provides various inputs like high quality seeds and synthetic fertilizers for farming. Manufacturing reduces dependence on agriculture. So as more and more people they get employment in industries, so it results in less burden on agriculture. Industrial development reduces unemployment and poverty. It brings foreign exchange, which is very valuable, and you can see many examples that industrialized nations they are prosperous than the non-industrialized ones, and that is why many countries like the USA, the UK, France, Germany, then some East Asian countries, they are more prosperous than developing countries. As far as contribution to the economy is concerned, in case of India, the situation is not healthy because the manufacturing industry, it contributes 17%, and this figure has been stagnating over the last 2 decades. So the contribution to GDP is just 17%. It should have been higher. So if we look for overall industry, then contribution is 27%, and if we remove the mining part from this, then for manufacturing it is just 17%. When it comes to employment generation, just 22% of the workforce gets employment in manufacturing industry. So this figure is also on a lower side, but there is a good figure. As per the World Bank, India's industrial manufacturing GDP output was 6th largest in the world in 2015, and the growth rate was 9 to 10% since 2003 up to 2013, but things changed to worse after 2013, and the growth rate has been 3 to 4.5% since 2013 till date, that is 2020, and this year had been pretty bad because of Corona also. Location of industry. So you may have observed that the industrial belts of India, They are located on the western coast, that is in and around Bombay or Mumbai, Gujarat. Then some industries, they are located in the area of Delhi NCR, that is Gurgaon and Faizabad, Gurgaon and Ghaziabad. Some of the industries, they are located in the Chota Nagpur Plateau region in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. So what decides the location of industry? Because other parts of the country, they do not have too many industries. So there are many factors, and for example, they are the availability of raw materials, availability of labor, capital, power, market, infrastructure. So the ideal location will be wherever there will be the minimum cost of getting the raw material, minimum cost of distribution of product, and minimum cost of production. So all these factors, they decide where an industrialist is going to put his factory. Okay. So some states, they try to attract more industries, and in order to do so, these states, they give some freebies by way of tax shops. So this helps in industrialization, and this has been seen in the example of Uttarakhand, where many companies, they shifted bases over there. Now let us move on to classification of manufacturing industry. So the classification can be based on many criteria. So for example, on the basis of raw materials, there are two types, agro-based industries and mineral-based industry. So if the raw materials, they come from agriculture only, so it's an agro-based industry, and if the raw materials, they come from the mines, it's a mineral-based industry. So iron and steel plant is a mineral-based industry, while a biscuit factory will be an agro-based industry. On the basis of the main role in the economy, there are two types, basic or key industries and consumer industries. So if the outputs, they are required by other industries, then the manufacturing will come under this category, that is basic or key industries. So for example, iron and steel, cement, oil refinery, because oil or iron and steel or cement, they are utilized for many other purposes, for industries. On the basis of the investment of capital, there are two types. One is small scale industries, where the investment is less than rupees 1 crore. And if the investment is more than rupees 1 crore, then it will be called a large scale industry. On the basis of ownership, there are four types: public sector, private sector, joint sector, and cooperative. So if the owner is the government or any government agency, then the industry will be called a public sector industry. So examples are SAIL, that is Steel Authority of India Limited, ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Commission, then Balco or Hindalco, these are the aluminium manufacturing companies. If the owners are private parties, individuals or a team of individuals, then it will be called a private sector. So the Reliance Industries or Tata, they are examples of private sector. If there is co-ownership between private sector and the public sector, then the factory will come under the joint sector. If there are many owners and all of them, they are equal stakeholders, they are owners as well as workers, they form a cooperative, and they form a cooperative organization. All of them, they are equal stakeholders, they get equal profits and they carry the equal risk. So Amul is a very good example, cooperative sector. Lizzat Papad is another example. On the basis of bulk and weight of raw materials and products, there are two types: heavy industries and light industries. So say for example, if a company is making an earth mover or a road roller, it will be coming under heavy industries. And if a company is making a shuttlecock, that is very light compared to earth movers, so it will be the light industries. Okay. Now let us move on to some key industries in India. So on this page, I have shown textile industries. Textile industry is very important because it is the second largest employer after agriculture. So the textile industry gives direct employment to 35 million people in India. It contributes 14% to industrial production and 4% to GDP in India. Textiles industry is the only industry in the country to be self-reliant and complete in value chain. So complete in value chain means that the Indian textile industry can process everything right from raw material to finished goods. And it's a very old industry in India. At present, the Indian textile industry is second largest in terms of capacity of spindles, and that is having 43.3 million spindles. India produces 1/4 of the total trade in yarn in the world. So it's a very good figure. But when it comes to production of garment or the share in garment trade, India has just 4% share. So this means we are lagging behind in finished products, where other countries like Bangladesh especially and China, they take the lead. This map, it shows cotton, wool and silk centers in India. The green dots, they show the cotton manufacturing facilities, and you can observe that most of them, they are in western India, in Maharashtra and Gujarat. Some cotton mills are in West Bengal also, some are in UP and some are in South India, that is in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The orange dots, they show woolen manufacturing units. So more of them, they are situated in Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Some are in Maharashtra and also in Madhya Pradesh and UP. The purple dot, it shows silk manufacturing units. There are very few in West Bengal, then in Uttar Pradesh, some of them are in Karnataka and some in Tamil Nadu. Jute. Jute is important because India is the largest producer of jute in the world, and the production of jute mainly happens in the Hooghly Basin near West Bengal, because that is the area where the conditions for jute farming are best. So jute industry, it employs 3.7 lakh workers and 40 lakh small and marginal farmers. They are dependent on jute for their livelihood. But jute gets tough competition with synthetic fiber. But the government has come with policy that jute is the mandatory packaging material for many products, and that is why jute is sustaining against the competition. After India, Bangladesh is the second largest producer of jute in the world. Let us talk about iron and steel. India is the fourth largest country in crude steel production, and it was 86.5 million tons in 2014. But you need not be happy about this figure, because China produced 822.7 million tons in that year. Per capita consumption of steel in India is 60 kilogram, while it is 217 kg for the world. And India produced 91.46 million tons of steel in 2014. You must be wondering, why do we need to look at this figure, the per capita consumption? This is a figure, we human beings, we do not consume steel directly, okay, but the consumption of steel, it works as an index of economic health of a country. So because steel is the basic industry, steel is being used in making so many things, in making infrastructure, in making factories, machines, vehicles. So steel consumption is a very good benchmark for industrial development of a country. So a lower consumption, it shows that economic development is on the lower side, and higher consumption shows the development on the higher side. So India, it is lagging behind on this front. Okay. This map, it shows various steel plants of India. So some are in West Bengal, then Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa. So the plants in Bengal are Durgapur and Burnpur, Bokaro and Jamshedpur, they are in Jharkhand, Raurkela is in Orissa, Bhilai is in Chhattisgarh, Vijayanagar and Bhadravati, they are in Karnataka. Salem is in Tamil Nadu, and Vizag is in Andhra Pradesh. So at present, India is having some key integrated plants and many mini steel plants. An integrated plant is a factory which can process everything right from the raw materials to finished goods. But mini steel plant, they do not process raw material. They just take ingots or crude iron or pig iron from the integrated plants and they further process them. Now, industry is very good for the economy and it is important for the economy, but industry has its own side effects, we can say, because industry creates all sorts of pollution, air pollution, water pollution, thermal pollution, noise pollution. Most of the industries, they use some or the other fuel, and whenever a fuel is burnt, there will be pollution, because burning a fuel will release carbon dioxide and some other noxious gases in the atmosphere. Apart from that, many factories, they also produce fine particles which are released in air, and they are then called the suspended particles. Okay, so that will also called air pollution. Then untreated effluents from factories, when that is released in the nearby water bodies, it causes water pollution, as happens in most of the factories in India. And this is the reason why the Ganga, when passes through Kanpur or Howrah or many other industrial towns, it becomes highly polluted. Then there is a case of thermal pollution. What happens in many factories, when water is released, it is on a higher temperature compared to the ambient temperature. So hot water or warm water is released in river or pond, it causes thermal pollution, because the aquatic living beings, plants and animals, they are exposed to a higher temperature, and that is harmful for them. Then comes the case of noise pollution. So many machines, they are working overtime, so they create noise, and it causes noise pollution. And noise pollution is also very harmful, because high level of noise, constant exposure to high level of noise, it causes headache, deafness, stress, anxiety. Okay, so we need to control all of these. So there are certain ways and means to control industrial pollution. For example, electrostatic precipitator, they can be installed in chimneys to reduce air pollution. There should be an effluent treatment plant wherever required, so that factories do not release untreated effluent into nearby water bodies. So this will help in reducing water pollution. So the factories should learn to minimize waste. So waste can be minimized by various methods like this electrostatic precipitator or effluent treatment. It helps in minimizing the waste. They should utilize byproducts. There are many byproducts which also cause unnecessary pollution in the environment. For example, the fly ash which comes out of the thermal power plants. So if fly ash can be utilized for making bricks or maybe making other things, or leveling the road, it will be helpful in preventing environmental pollution. Then the factories, they should also develop green belts around their area to improve the quality of air. Okay, so to sum up, I talked about the definition of manufacturing. I talked about the importance of manufacturing industry for the economy. Then I talked about some key industries in India like textiles, jute and iron and steel industry. And at the end of the lesson, I talked about the industrial pollution. So that's all for this lesson. Thank you.